Okay, guys, this is going to be your notes on orders of operations. I know that you've done this in the past, but we probably just need to review. So it's orders of operations and then PEMDAS. So the meaning of PEMDAS, the P is going to be for any parentheses or any groupings. So that's going to be what your P is. And you should be writing this down in your note packet. And then the E is for any exponents. So if you're given like 3 squared, you're going to have to do 3 times 3 first, which is 9. And then MD is multiply or divide. And we read this from left to right. So when we're doing multiplying and dividing from left to right, what happens is, so if I have 7 times 8 divided by 4, the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by 8. Is multiply 7 and 8. That's going to be my first step, 7 times 8. And then you divide that by 4. So 7 times 8 is 56. And then divide that by 4. And then what happens is 4 goes into 56 14 times. Or you can have this where you could have 12 divided by 2 times 3. So what we would do first is we would divide by 12 first, or we divide by 2. So this would be 6, and then times 3, which is 9. And that's how, not 9, 18. Wow. And then we're going to add and subtract. That's the next one. You're going to add and subtract, or subtract from left to right. And it's always, these are always left to right. Always. Because that's how we read, left to right. So this would be 12 minus 8 plus 2. So you're going to go 12 minus 8, which gives you 4, plus 2 is 6. 15 plus 3, and then minus 9. So 15 plus 3 is 18, minus 9 ends up being 9. So that's just, those are just, and then the use of it. Now this is the use, because we need a rule. We need a rule. And that rule needs to make sure that we are all doing the same thing to simplify the problem. So we have to have a rule that's going to be doing this. It's kind of like a law. Like everybody needs to, when you come to a stop sign, we need to know that that means stop. So it's the same thing with PEMDAS. You got to have some sort of a rule that you have to do that. So everybody's doing this and we're all in agreement. Whoops, I don't know what's going on there. And we're all in agreement that that is going to happen, that we all understand and we're all doing the same thing. So if I go to this example, the grouping here first is my parentheses. So I'm going to do this grouping first. I'm going to do that parentheses. So 2 minus 1 is 1. And then that's 6 plus 7 divided by 7. And then that plus 5. So the next thing is, okay, there's no exponent, so I move on. And then there's going to be, it's stuck together. The 6 and the 1 are stuck together. So because there's that little set of parentheses right here, you're going to multiply. So 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 5 plus 7 divided by 7. Notice that I'm rewriting these all over every time. So now I still have, I've multiplied. Now I got to go through and divide. So I'm going to go through and divide this. 7 divided by 7 ends up being 1. But I still have then 5 plus 6 plus, because 7 divided by 7 is 1. So now I'm just going to go through, and now I'm at this add and subtract area. So I'm just going to add those up. 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 1 ends up being 12. And that's my answer. So this next section, example 2, I have a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm going to do everything in my parentheses. So in this case, it's 10 plus 2 times 2. Well, which one? And so in the parentheses, we still have to follow those PEMDAS rules. So you have to multiply. So we're going to go through and we're going to multiply these together first, because multiply and division is before adding. So 2 times 10 is 20. And then you still have plus 10 plus 8. So 10 plus 20 ends up being 30. And here's the thing that is, and you still have this 8, this plus 8, and you still have this 2. Here's the thing that gets you, is this sign. Oops. What happened? Is this sign right here. That negative sign needs to go with that. So this is really 2 minus 30. So 2 minus 30 gives me negative 28. And then plus 8, negative 28. So you owe me $28 and you get $8. So now you only owe $20. So it's negative 20. So make sure that you're really paying attention to that sign, because that sign goes with that thing. That made that a negative 30. That one's a trick. Again, we're going to do the groupings first. So we're going to do those parentheses. So 2 minus 3. 2 minus 3 ends up being negative 1. And then you still have 8 times negative 2. So 8 times negative 1 ends up being negative 8 times negative 2. 8 times 2 is 16. And a negative times a negative is a positive 16. So my answer is just 16. Okay, and then the next set of groupings, the grouping is like parentheses. All of this on top is your grouping. So we got to go through, and we're going to go through and we're going to do that adding part. So 4 minus 7 over 2. So 4 minus 7 ends up being negative 3 minus 7 over 2. And then negative 3 minus 7 is negative 10 divided by 2. Remember, a fraction bar, that just means that that's a way to divide. Fractions are just the same as dividing. So 10 divided by 2 is 5, and then a negative divided by a positive is a negative 5. Okay, again, our grouping is what's on top here. This is our grouping. So we're going to do everything on top. We're going to do what's inside. So 5 minus 1. 5, we're going to do this part right here. 5 minus 1 is 4. And then you got the 2 out there, and then that's a minus, and a 3 over 5, then plus 7. So then we go through, and my next section is I'm going to multiply negative 2 times 4. Negative 2 times 4. So I've got my 3 hangs out. Going to divide by 5. Going to add 7. So now this, negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. And then 3 minus 8. So 3 minus 8 gives me negative 5 divided by 5 plus 7. 5 divided by 5 is 1. So negative 1 plus 7. And then that ends up being 6. And then that's going to be your answer, because this would be your PEMDAS, and then your assignment is to work on your IXL. Remember, with IXL, you're not going to really turn anything in. You're just going to make your SMART score go there. So you're just going to make your SMART score get to there.